is a genius production.
Yeah, AMB. I am hip hop. Yes, sir. I am hip hop. I am hip hop. Yo, I am hip hop.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Debra Show, and I am Debra Faye. And this evening, I'm very excited about this guest for Surely Show, because I'm a big fan of his. African man born, AMB. AMB, y'all, he's up there in that, what you in, Boston?
Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay, yeah, his music, I can't drive and listen to his music because it makes me aggressive. So I'm going to let him come on and get us started with an introduction of his own to who he is and take us right on into the discussion of conscious love from hip hop. We talking about hip hop to Nuwop, and it's larger than all of that, ain't it right, Big?
Yep.
All right. All right. So come on with it. Come on. Take us on into this discussion.
So my name is AMB, African man born out of Boston, but I'm African by nature, Nubian by nature, Nuwopian by nature, Sabian by nature. Hip hop is pretty much what I am. That's why I dropped the album I Am Hip Hop in January. And it's what I am, but I'm more than that, just like everybody else that listens to me and doesn't listen to me. So pretty much my music represents growth in humanity through hip hop. So when you look at like anything that I've done, if you listen to any older music when I was Anonymous Machete Blade, that was what AMB meant first. You know what I'm saying? It was Anonymous Machete Blade, and I was a battle rapper then, but nobody really knew who I was until I chopped them up in the battle. You know what I'm saying? And that was the whole premise of Anonymous Machete Blade, is that, yeah, you don't know who I am, but when you get to know me, I'm gonna chop you up in the battle, and I won every battle. I never lost. So that's not bragging. It's just what it was. I won the money. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we did. We put money up, chop you up. But that was the side of me that had to deal with the competitive side of hip hop. As I got older, Anonymous Machete Blade had to be phased out and go into what I am today, African man born, because my job is to unify people. Because hip hop is really about peace, love, unity, and having fun. Well, if you look at ancient African culture, same principles apply, because we all about peace with our people, love, unity, and having fun. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at those elements you see in the four first elements of hip hop, you have DJing, breaking, and all of those deal with unity, love, having fun. You know what I'm saying? All of those things deal with those elements, the African elements. You get the drumming, you got the writings on the walls, you got the dancing, and you got the tones, which is utterance. You know what I'm saying? Which comes from our women first, then our men. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you look at hip hop, now has 9 elements. You know what I'm saying? Street fashion, street entrepreneurialism, street language, all of these things are incorporated, but the knowledge is what helps you grow in hip hop. So my growth in hip hop took it to a level where I was able to sit down with professors, sit down with students, teach classes, create a podcast, and teach. And that is all by design of the master teacher Malachi Z. York, who was like, that's who I give credit to that too. If it wasn't for Malachi Z. York, Malachi Z. K. York, the master Sabian, Wapian Nation, and Salah, all the great names that we have. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to be African man born, because I wouldn't have anything to talk about. You know what I'm saying? So the culture itself, it allowed me to add responsibility to what hip hop, because hip hop had it. Then they attacked our pioneers like Africa Bambaataa and KRS One and Rakim and X Clan. They attacked those guys. So African Man Born represents the resurrection of that. but we're gonna bring it into Wusabat. We're gonna bring it into Nuwop. We're gonna bring it into, you know, an advancement. Not to say that I'm better. They're part of me anyway. What hip hop consciousness is me. I'm looking to advance it, not for myself, for others. You know, esoteric. Bring it to the esoteric. You know what I'm saying? And it's not always being soft and kumbaya. Sometimes you got to punch people in the face to let people know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of times people say, well, he's so aggressive. Well, I'm not that I'm aggressive, is that you're not able to hang. Sometimes you just can't hang with it. You know what I mean? Like, that's where like I come from that element where you had to be hard in order to survive. I know when to be soft because, you know, I'm not like hard 24/7. It's just that when I get on that mic is like an African spear when you know, where Shaka Zulu had, you know what I'm saying? And when it comes to performing, you know what I mean? And it comes to writing down material, I'm fighting a devil. I'm fighting a system. It's just like I said in a song on the Wu-Tang album, the Wu-Tang mixtape that I did back in November. I said, I don't battle MCs. I battle the police. I battle versus the government. My mission is to keep, you know what I'm saying? And that I've been saying that repeatedly on different songs. And that was something that was mentioned in the versus battle I did 2 days ago,
Right.
where they caught on to that.
Yeah.
They caught on to that. I don't battle MCs. I battle the police. I battle versus the government. And I've always been about that though. Like ever since 2004, 2003, 2004, I took my hip hop lyrics at the government, at the devils, at the system. I've always been about beating the system up. I've always been about attacking the system. You know what I mean? From the song Pharaoh on Top, which inspired these hats, right? I had a song called Pharaoh on Top, very vulgar, very aggressive, where I said something about, the first thing I said is F the government. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the first thing I said. And that right there gave you indication to them, oh, we can't let him in the industry. Well, that's fine because I am the music industry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And my job is to teach people to be the music industry if this is what you want to do. And your money will come slow, but it's going to come as long as you stay consistent. You can't let nobody stop you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So my job is to push love, unity, but also train young warriors, males and females alike, to stand up to this system, stand up against agendas. You know what I mean? Stand up against propaganda, because we're not here. There has to be an adverse naturally. That's how nature works. Anytime there's a poison that's out there, there has to be an antidote. You know what I mean? The music industry to me is poison. So the antidote is African man born. It's also the more. You know what I'm saying? It's the other artists like Nas. It's all these other artists that are out here. It's Intellect 9. It's Africa Bambaataa. It's all of the artists that are in the Sabian Nation. It's all the RBG artists. It's all the people that are pushing positive movements. You know what I mean?
So is that like your idea, or is that not your idea, but is that like in relationship to a collective consciousness, you know, what we would say conscious love, you know, including the names that you just dropped, is so when we talk about conscious love with you, is that what it is?
It's conscious love, it's unity, and it's nation building. But it's like conscious love means that you got to accept people for who they are. And you can still work with these people, even if you don't necessarily gravitate towards their personality. I'd be the first one to tell you if I don't like a person, right? But that doesn't mean I hate a person. You know what I'm saying? Because most of the people we don't like are of our own race, because we deal with our own people, right? But that's not necessarily wrong, because it depends on what the situation is. If you've been disrespected by this person, or have you been backstabbed by the person. But once you understand that you don't have to necessarily like a person to love who they are as an existing being, and you can still work with these people. And I'll give you an example. It's a simple example. If you work at UPS, most of the UPS is owned by actually the U.S. Marines, right? And what does the Marines teach you? You have to be soldiers. United we stand, divided we fall. United States of America. You know, it's all propaganda crap, but you know, they do that to brainwash you. But the brainwashing, if you can get past the brainwashing and understand the concept of what being a soldier is in the military, you fight for each other. You don't necessarily like these people now. You probably had some racist experience in boot camp. You probably seen some crap, right? But when you go to war, you're fighting for each other. You're fighting for America, per se. You know what I'm saying? You're fighting. So that's the same thing. You don't have to like necessarily the people that you're around that are of your people. There's family members that don't like each other, but you still defend them because they're what? They're family. So like that is the same thing that I teach when I'm rapping, or not even just when I'm rapping, when I'm doing a podcast, Random Thoughts. I'm doing this for Nubians first. There's white people that love my stuff. Right. And they understand that I'm here for the Nubian people first. That's why my name is African Man Born. You see what I'm saying? You know, we understand the phonetics of where the word came from, but I'm here to change the whole energy of what that really means, because we know, lack of a better word, we talk about Africans, Nubians, Black people, Moors, whatever word we want to, like, you know what I mean? Give, you know what I'm saying, ourselves. Right. We know that these are the same people, the indigenous people of the world that came from the Black woman first, right? And that came and that created the Black man. So the Black woman created the Black man. You know what I'm saying? You know, hip hop was created by the idea of a Black woman named Cindy Campbell, which is Clive Campbell's sister, which is, and he was, Clive Campbell was DJ Kool Herc. We all know him as the godfather of hip hop. Well, guess what? The godfather is his sister. You know what I'm saying? Who said, "Could you be at my party?" And that's what started the party in Cedric Ave and Cedar Park back in August 11th, 1973. That's the zero time reference of hip hop. But hip hop always existed because African people always existed. You know what I'm saying? So when we're dealing with that, that's what we talk about hip hop, the Nuwop, because Nuwop, when you say Nuwopian, or when you say Nubian, or you say Nubian, or even when you get into Sabian, right? You're talking about a people that created all things in existence, from the stars all the way to the constellations. We're talking about space stuff. We're talking about that our home is really space. We existed before then. Right. You know, so that's where African man is trying to take this piece of sub-African culture and expand it into, like, this is what hip hop is going to be. You know what I'm saying? Because I like to step in a room and watch people admire what I've done over the years. Not because it's my ego, it's because I want them to change with what I'm doing. I want them to see that they can change. You know what I'm saying? And that's all it's about. Everything must change but time.
Right. So when you think of the word conscious itself, and then attach it or associate it to the word love, or the idea love, move us from conscious into love, or are they something that exist you know, simultaneously?
Well, consciousness is awareness. So you definitely have to be aware in order to have consciousness. So you can't have consciousness without being aware. It's actually the same thing. It's the same thing, different word. Then when you're dealing with consciousness, now, in order for you to have full consciousness, you have to have love for yourself. So now you got to start being conscious and aware of yourself. Like, what are the things that I can do to improve myself? How can I improve myself, my being, my surroundings, my financial situation, or my just being a man? I'll speak for being a man. You know what I'm saying? How can I improve myself as a man? Right? You have to accept the things that you didn't really excel in. Like, if you used to give up on things, if you're a quitter, you have to learn how not to be a quitter. If you weren't the best man in a relationship, if you didn't know certain things, then you start to fix those things to be a better man in a relationship. And to be a better man in a relationship, like a wife, husband type of situation, you have to fix yourself. You can't do nothing about nobody else. You know what I'm saying? What you have to do exudes out of your being, and then you literally, like, you know, to be a better man to the next woman, you have to fix yourself before you get with the next woman. To be a better student, you got to drop all the things that make you a bad student, which is procrastination, laziness, you know what I'm saying? Lack of wanting to study, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's changing your eating habits. All of these things is consciousness that's translated into love so you can better yourself. And sometimes bettering yourself, like, well, not sometimes, all the time, bettering yourself with consciousness is love for all because you want the things for them that you want for yourself.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you start to do things, you know what I mean? Like today, I was just listening to a bunch of people's problems and I realized my issues ain't that bad. You know what I'm saying? These people came from some stuff.
Yeah.
One dude younger than me,
Mhm.
and one sister was older than me. And she told me, and I knew this sister for like 12 years being at Mass Ave, right?
Mhm.
And she just laid it, you know, and told me her stuff. And she's like, thank you for listening. That's all she wanted. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes the best teachers, and Malachi Ziok taught us this,
Right.
the best teachers listen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did for them. I'm just an example of great teachers like him. You know what I mean? They listen. You know what I'm saying? I listen,
right.
like the funny thing is my mother actually taught me that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
She taught me that first. She used to hear some of the dumb stuff that I said, and she would break it down. And then I'm just sitting there like, how does she remember that? I didn't say that. And then that's what I said. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like listening, watching my mother at first when I was younger, and she's sitting there listening to what I'm saying, and then she break it down and show me how stupid I was really acting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Taught me how to really break down things for my own being, and then sit there and actually listen to people, even if I think it's remedial. You know what I'm saying? I'll sit there and listen. You know what I mean? And I would just, you know, deal with the teaching that way. You know what I mean?
Mhm. So you're saying that one of the very first components, if we use that word, would be within conscious love as one of the, I won't say a component, let's say an ingredient, would be the ability to listen.
Yep. The ability to listen,
Okay.
because you have to listen in order to get every bit of what you're trying to answer. You know what I mean? Because sometimes themselves, you gotta listen to yourself. You know, many people don't listen to themselves. They know they ain't supposed to go out there and drink with the boys on Saturday night when the cops are out. But if they don't listen to themselves, they do it anyway. Right? You got to know how to listen to that being that's within you. There's a real being within you. You know what I'm saying? That speaks to you all the time, but a lot of times we ignore it because we don't know what it is. Because we're in a westernized world, we're not taught the importance of being a shaman. We're not taught the importance of being a cultural priest or priestess. You know what I mean? Like when you look at my name, right? Sheps Tepi Timu.
Yeah.
That's sabbatical Nuwopic for noble chief of the earth. Now I look at that and I'm like, it made sense. Noble chief of the earth. Geo, my name Giovanni. Geo means earth, also means geometry, and it also means God.
All
All right. So I'm sitting there like noble chief of the earth. So therefore, the people that had the master teacher had these people learn how to break down your destiny by way of your names alone, and then it fits you. So now you have to live up to that shaman that you are, because the chief is a shaman, right? And is also a servant to their people. You know what I'm saying? But you're a servant as a leader to those people. You see what I'm saying? And I've always sat in a leadership position. I've always, even if it was by myself, I've always sat in a leadership position. On some, I've always put that, even if I try to escape it, people come to me for that leadership. You know what I mean? So I had to recognize and take that, but also humble myself, knowing that I can't go too far with it. You know what I'm saying? Because you go too far with it, then the ego steps. You know?
Right. Now, because now you have me thinking about as we're dealing with conscious love, it's bigger, or bigger than the hip hop movement. This conscious love starts out with an ability to listen, because we're talking about to be a good leader, and take a more active role as a leader. That leader has to be able to listen. Is that
Yes.
what Okay, so
They
that's
have to be able to listen.
have to be able. So conscious love seems like to me already, as you said, we're talking about an awareness. Um,
Yes.
is that when we talk about conscious love, it's almost like we're talking about something that is it normal, like everyday love that people in society are engaging in, or are we talking about an intentional something? It sounds like it's different from, this norm of love and relationships when we add the
Well,
conscious.
conscious love. When you say conscious love, it's really divine love,
Okay.
because when you're conscious, you're aware that what love is, or you're on the path of what real love is.
Mhm.
It's not selfish love. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's divine love. So your consciousness is going to allow you to do things and think things that are for others.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, Divine love is unconditional love, and it comes with action.
Right.
You put your life on the line for others. You put yourself on the line for others without no selfish intent or hope, fear, reward. You know what I'm saying? You're doing for your fellow people. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, like, conscious love is awareness, and the consciousness is awareness, and the love is pretty much the intention,
Okay.
and the action is based on love. So when it goes hand in hand, you're doing for your people, you're fighting for your people, you're standing up for your people with no fear of repercussion, because the whole mission is to help others.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
From a man's point, I want to say, because I do think it's a little bit different when it comes. I don't, and not to say that I know what it is from a woman's point, but I know from a man's point, we're supposed to be about love for the community.
Mhm.
So we stand up for the community, our family, and the community.
Mhm.
I see that when, like, women, in my experience, they
Mhm.
stand for the children. You see what I'm saying? So we protect those women and babies all over. The women protect their individual families so they can raise them up to be the protectors that we are. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So so that um and that's just in my experience. I might be, off a little bit, but I noticed that, like, when a family is working together out of that divine love, the men usually gather and protect the community.
Mhm.
They're about the community, the culture, the tribe. They're the gatekeepers to getting in and out. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
then the women are the creators of these nations. So they protect the women and children. If you look at the animal kingdom, the women, the female animals protect, and they are no joke when they protect
Mhm.
their babies. You know what I'm saying? You go by a raccoon, or nest of baby raccoons, a mother somewhere around ready to pounce on you. You go near those babies. Same thing with Nubian women. Listen, my mother didn't play when it came to us. You know what I mean? Protecting. You know what I mean? So that's also love, because you're putting yourself on the line. These people got guns, knives, they got intentions, and you're standing up to people that are crazy. But you know what? Love is more powerful than that, because if you have that crazy love, them so-called crazy, hateful guys that want to do some dirt to whoever and whoever's children, they will back off.
Mhm.
I've seen it happen. You know what I mean? That
Mhm.
was my own mother. My mother was 5'5". She's 5'5", you know what I mean? And at that time in the 1980s, she was fairly young. She was in her 30s. You know what I mean? So she showed a sign of divine love that um, from that perspective. Then when you deal with men, when you always talk to men and dealing with men, we're like, yo, we got to get the community right. We got to make sure that, ain't nobody coming up here with these drugs. We got to make sure that nobody's coming on this block acting the fool. We got to make sure these boys are acting right. Nobody's hitting no women and stuff, and women ain't fighting and all that. That's that, you know what I mean? So the format is a little different, but it's the same type of love. It's divine love. It's unconditional. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds more like when we're dealing with conscious love, that it's not a love that is like you would say secluded, or you know, it's more inclusive. What you know, it's almost as if it sounds like this is not some type of where you see couples, you know, that affectionate, you know, we a couple kind of love. Conscious love sounds more expansive than what you get with just a one-on-one, you know, this is my man, this is my woman, that kind of relationship or level of love. So I mean, that at least with what all you're bringing into it, that's what it sounds like to me. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like you're describing something that is greater than a singular relationship, because it pulls in not just you and that female exclusively, but it includes everything else. Like you say, you know, your community and where does hip hop to Nuwop, where does that come in? You know, how do you translate that? How do you translate that ideology over into Pharaoh on top music?
Oh wow, that was weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're
So
weird.
yeah, this thing did something weird. But the how does that translate into
What you do? Yeah. How do you bring that conscious love over into Pharaoh on top AMB music?
so hip hop to Nuwop pretty much is a representation of growth. Um, Hip hop intention was to pretty much stop the gang violence and also end the poverty and change our lives by way of the party, change our lives by way of the music, change our lives. And we wasn't just, there was no hip hop music back then. Hip hop doesn't really necessarily, we didn't have a music until people started playing out their own music. And that was around the 80s. So hip hop was really the jams back then. So what its intentions was to end the negativity and despair that was happening in the late 60s, early 70s. Once hip hop came in, we had the conscious movements, the Bambatas and the Key Cowboys, and we had all these movements to come in, and that shaped and gave hip hop its structure, which is the infinity lessons, right? The infinity lessons is what came from the Zulu Nation, and Bambata inspired that. Then you had later on, you had KRS One with the Temple of Hip Hop back in the 90s. And then you have Rakim, who had the whole Nations of Gods and Earths on. The hip hop is flooded with the Nations of Gods and Earths. Father Allah, Wu-Tang Clan, Nas was into it for a little bit. The what you call them, Poor Righteous Teachers were Nation of Islam. Have Brand Nubians, they were 5%. Nations of Gods and Earth. So the biggest influence in hip hop was Nations of Gods and Earth, which is a Muslim movement. You know what I'm saying? And I respect them brothers. I respect them sisters. You know what I'm saying? And they're what they chose to be and what they chose to do. Hip hop to Nuwop, hip hop is flooded with that, which is cool. Now we have to elevate it to a point where it's like, what is the next phase for our growth in our future? So me, I represent that next step, just like Malachi represented that next step in breaking the seventh seal. Right. You know what I mean? So we are at the gate right now. So therefore, hip hop had to translate into Nuwop with Brother Shah Nookie and Jazzo and Intellect Nine and Ross Search and Mifu and all these other people, and Emsatak and Huni and all these other brothers that were here before me. I I was a street rapper when these people were out. You know what I'm saying? And I come in just, I kind of come into the whole just spitting knowledge probably 2003, 2004, right? But I wasn't really known amongst the nation as far as until about 2013, 14, right? And I started to understand what Nuwopian hip hop was, or Sabian hip hop. Way we didn't call it Sabian then, we called it Nuwopian hip hop, you know what I mean? Or Nuwop, right? So when I got in touch with Intellect 9 back in 2015, that's when I started to understand what he contributed to what is called Nuwop today. You know what I'm saying? And his mission was always kind of my mission that I didn't really know was my mission. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? He's 10 years older than me. So I don't, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like he put that into perspective for me. You know what I mean? And then I was able to take who I am as African man born and be like, now I can translate my hip hop to Nuwop.
Okay.
You know what I mean? By being the growth of hip hop by way of Nuwopian culture, Sabian culture, knowing that next level. You know what I'm saying? Some people call it God hop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? I call it Nuwop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's all inclusive, but it's all advanced level of let's take this culture and not just rap about it, be about it, live the culture, teach about it, build people up, be about, you know, the growth, and be about not just the freedom of yourself, but the freedom of those who brought you here, like Malachi, free Dr. York. You see what I'm saying? That's what Nuwop is. So it's the growth and taking responsibility to the next level. You know what I mean?
Now, before you became African man born, and you were referred to as a Machete.
Yep.
Blade. How different were your lyrics and the consciousness of you then and you now?
The consciousness then, I was younger, so I was a lot more limited in information, but I always wanted to spit information. So there was really never really a point. If you listen to any of my work from 2003, I've always had some level of consciousness within the music. So my goal was to get to a point where my music is going to have the same energy, but it's going to have information. And actually be about information. So like a lot of times you hear a lot of artists say that we're here to give you information, but when you listen to their music, they still are the street guys that they were on their records, because a lot of times when you don't expand your mind in certain aspects, you know what I mean? You don't take it further, right? So that's why, like for me, I don't take it as if I know everything.
Right.
I take it as I'm a learn and I'm a convey the message at my speed, but also take responsibility for more learning. You know what I'm saying? Right. And not just more learning, but actually like changing what hip hop is, because we're really supposed to change this culture. You know what I mean? We're really supposed to change it. Hip hop is supposed to be esoteric right now. You know what I'm saying? So the music is supposed to be on a balanced level. I'm not saying that you can't have the street stuff. I'm not saying you can't have, because all of those things are balanced, right? But you got to have a balance out with people that are talking cosmic right now. You know what I'm saying? People got to be on
a give us a little bit of what you're talking about. What you talking about? But
so when I say I'm a righteous individual, I've never been a criminal. My music's for the spiritual. Machete be the general. My powers be incredible. My shit is unforgettable, yet edible. I'm lyrical, a true intellectual. I'm building ziggurats like I be extraterrestrial. I'm standing in the middle like a cover of a centerfold. My music's for the soul. Everybody want to blow, but this shit is not official. You already know this class is for the students, so listen to the flow. So grab a book, grab a pen. Everybody come on in, fighting with Leviathan. You lose, then you try again. We rise above the madness and show you how to rhyme again. Hip hop soldier, everybody know us. AMB is here, and I'm keeping my composure, shutting down your residence like I be the president. AMB is back. I guess that shit is evident. So that's the third verse from Cosmos. I did that 11 years ago.
Woo! See, that's why I can't listen to your stuff when I'm driving, because I'll be looking for the buttons that you know kick in my fuel injectors, so I can go from the street and you know rise on up in the air. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's That's definite right there. That's definite right there. You know, listening to your music and the information, you know, I I like whatever you do. Uh, one of my favorites by you, of course, is Nine Reasons and God with Me.
Yeah,
So yeah, hey,
yeah.
yeah. Can now, what did your inspiration for Nine Reasons? What are we dealing with? Because, and we're
Oh
still
wow.
talking about a conscious love, because a conscious love, the way that you are bringing it, it sounds like it is supposed to feed you. You know, it's supposed to feed that soul.
So so Nine Reasons was inspired by the first. If you look at the master teacher Malachi Z. York's books, if you look at the beginning of the Pame Tats,
Yes.
the papyruses that he wrote from 2008 to now, right?
Right.
He has the well, I think it's stop putting them in there, but he had the first book. It was actually a book called Nine Reasons to be a Nuwop.
Okay.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And my whole purpose in doing that was to give you 9 reasons to be a Nuwopian, 9 reasons to be awake, 9 reasons to be elevated through hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And it is what inspired me to do that was pretty much I felt like our culture was not being represented in hip hop, and we have all of these artists. And it's no disrespect to any artist. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like we didn't do a video that showed us. I think people were scared. You know what I'm saying? I felt like people were scared, and I'm not saying that everybody was, but I feel like nobody took the initiative to be like, yo, we're gonna represent our culture, not just with the sound, but with the image. Because it was a whole image that I had in my head about what we're gonna do. And that was like the video. I went to the Z Fest in 2015 and filmed it. You know what I'm saying? Now at that time I was going through a crazy breakup. So my mind wasn't totally there. I took off of music for 3 months, right? From June of 2015 to June, July, August to September. You know what I mean? To get my mind right, then get back to the music. 9 Reasons was already recorded, right? So I was filming my videos then. And I wanted to kind of, it was therapeutic for me to put the video and do the video with the brothers and just kind of do what I did and show the culture. My whole purpose of it was to really show our culture and not be afraid to show people the culture, regardless of what people felt about Malachi. I don't care what people say about Malachi. What people say about Malachi is irrelevant to me, because that saved not just my life, but more of other lives. And I wasn't really in trouble like that. It's just that he added on. You know what I'm saying? Right. He made me the person that I am as far as the teachings of just culture. And he made me want to be a student. I used to hate reading.
Right.
I used to hate books. I used to hate studying. You know what I mean? My mother used to force me to read books. You know what I'm saying? But it was Malachi that turned me into the professor. He turned me into the doctor. He turned me into that guy that was like, I can put doctor behind my name and prove it with knowledge without a paper. You know what I mean? I could sit with professors and be the professor. And you know what I mean? Because of him. You know what I'm saying? So when people say things about Dr. Malachi Z. York, they want to irk my nerve. They can't irk my nerve. You know what I'm saying? Because he's taught me how to be composed as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People gonna say what they want. You know what I'm saying? And that's why when I do a podcast, they know. You know, African man boy ain't worried about you. You know what I'm saying? African man boy ain't worried about somebody who hates Doc. We ain't here for those who hate Doc. We're here for those who love themselves and appreciate Doc.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that right there, and I always try to tell a lot of different Sabians, don't get caught up in being mad at what people don't like about the master. You know what I mean?
That's right.
What are they gonna do? He's a this, he's that. You can't prove that, so why am I worried about you? You know what I'm saying? And then you say things as if he did something personal to you.
Right.
And he didn't do something personal to you. All he did was try to set the thing straight. He had a whole CD. He said, all I want to do is get the whole thing straight.
Right.
That's what he wanted to do. And I feel that message because that's my mission.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not like him. Sometimes I don't like some of these dudes, some of these people I'm talking to. But you know what? My love for my people is gonna allow me to look past what I don't like about somebody and help them anyway.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's-
Now, I know this may be coming as a surprise to my listening audience or those that are with us and those that'll be joining later after it hits the YouTube channel. The Debra Show takes a different approach to love. And I appreciate you, because you're busy all the time.
Yeah.
Give us a rundown of the various, you mentioned a podcast. I mean, give us a whole rundown of you and all the different things that you're doing, that you do, and tell us how to get over to this part of you, from that part of you to, give us that roadmap, that direction.
So the things that I do, wow. Well, first and foremost, I am a street vendor. So I literally make my money setting up and putting out products on the street. You know what I'm saying? And from my shirts to my hats to incense to oils, selling the culture of books, through Sabat, and speaking publicly. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. Like I don't have a 9 to 5. It's right in front of this short. I don't have a 9 to 5 where I go to and to support that. This is what supports me, right? With that being said, I do the podcast and the lives. The lives are different from the podcast. The lives are just Facebook driven, and they are pretty much whatever is randomly on my mind at that moment that needs to be addressed. I address. It's called AMB TV Live. I do them randomly.
On Facebook only?
That's on Facebook only because of the format that, I do it on my phone and, so I want to be able to kind of do that a little bit where I have an actual broadcast studio and stuff and do that randomly as well. But I have the podcast. The podcast is actually, you go. The podcast is actually random thoughts. That's the funny thing about random thoughts is exactly kind of that with the podcast, but it's 5 to 10 minutes of a random thought. So I make sure I challenge myself to be very direct and short. You know what I mean? Because the lives I can go in. But being short is a little bit more difficult because some things will irk my nerves more than others. Certain things will spark my extemporaneous speaking. You know what I'm saying? So when I get into the whole podcast, I try to keep it a format. So I've been very critical about certain things on the podcast, especially about COVID and the direction of how the US government's going with COVID. And I've been very critical about it.
So now, but is the podcast on a YouTube channel, or how do we get to your podcast?
AMB TV, capital letters. So you have to put youtube.com/AMB TV. And the AMB TV has to be capital letters and straightforward. Some people, there's a whole bunch of different AMB TVs. So you have to make sure that you see me sitting at my table with my head down like this, looking, you'll see that. And that's me.
Okay.
I usually share them on Facebook. I actually had to upload my latest episode of a podcast because I was directly talking about the scandal of COVID. They literally, YouTube actually removed the video, right? Censorship, right? Because they said that we don't tolerate medical misinformation. So I wrote them back and said, there's no medical misinformation. Y'all just liars. But since you did that, okay, when I take all of my content down and keep and save it, right, I'm gonna just put on another platform. But also, you just gave me another episode because now I'm gonna expose you for who you are. That's why I said I wrote this right to YouTube. You know what I mean? So I know that, like my whole thing is be direct, be straight up, and let them know where you stand. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, with that being said, the podcast is on YouTube, but some of the episodes you'll see on my Facebook, which is Brother Chef's Tepi Timu, you know what I'm saying, on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Until I find the actual, you can also, when I find a way to directly put it on my website, that's AfricanManborn.com.
Okay.
So they're not stopping anything.
So AfricanMan.com. AfricanManborn.com is where we go to get your music and everything, right? And your the
You'll be able to
clothing and
the clothing is Pharaoh on Top Wears. So that's the other website. You know, Pharaoh on Top Wears is where you get, like, you know, you'll see these hats, you'll see the shirts. I'm coming out with a new colors with the same design. You know what I mean? So you'll see in June I'm gonna be a big push. But I'm re-getting some black and golds because people love the black and gold. So I'm gonna re-put them.
Which one what color did I want? Pink. I probably wanted some color that.
Wanted some green one. I think it was definitely a color that nobody asked me for.
Yeah, I would, wouldn't I?
So once I get the black and golds in, then I'm gonna do all the other, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so conscious love definitely doesn't sound like itself. It doesn't even sound like it has any room for selfishness.
No,
it doesn't even sound like. What does that conscious love look like? Just entertain it for just a quick whatever. What does conscious love look like between two conscious people, woke people?
It's non-competitive. It's teamwork.
Yes.
It's not expressing what a man has to do and what a woman has to do. It just is. And really, conscious love, when you have conscious love, you're prepared to take on the ship when the other person falls, because that's what teamwork is. You know what I mean? Conscious love, divine love, selfless love is pretty much esoteric thinking of, like, okay, we're working together and we're preparing together. We're doing things together. We have, we support together. You know what I'm saying? We let each other be. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can go and be who we are. You know what I'm saying? But we also have that, for me, that protective side. So, if there's certain things I say to, like, my mate, like, there's certain thing I don't tell her what to do. You know what I mean? But I will express, like, let's say, like, for instance, like, out here, the train system's kind of weird at a certain point. I don't really want her taking the train at a certain point, because what happens is she get caught up, then she got to take a shuttle, and that's a lot of stress on her. So I will take her to work. You know what I'm saying? Certain things, if she's carrying certain things, like, there's certain things men instinctively do that you learn from your parents and your mother. You know what I'm saying? That you should already know. Certain things women instinctively do that you learn from your parents, so you don't have to address it on a damn. I hear people, they go in here and they talk about it on, the man's supposed to provide. Yeah, but that's a given. But at the same time, why are you telling me what to do?
Right.
I'm a man. Don't tell me what to do. Just like, okay, with that concept, can I tell you go in the kitchen to cook? No. You know what I mean? That's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't talk to, like, it's one of those things, and it's funny because I'm going through that similar thing in a family situation. You know what I'm saying? Without saying too much. But it's like, people have this thing where they want to rule over you, but for whatever reason, because they're either older than you, or you're, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, they're bigger than you. But all of these things, people should be able to accept order within themselves from whoever is addressing their out of order nature.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And some people can't do that because they're too caught up in the ego of, I'm this. Nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're important in the universe. Yeah, you're at the center of your universe, but you're not the center of my universe. You ain't gonna tell me how to operate in my universe. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I chose the mate I chose because she knows what she has to do for herself. She knows she has, and she knows what she wants to do for herself, and she doesn't impede on what I'm doing for me. You know what I mean? But when we work together, we make sure that, one, we know what's going on around us. Then we make sure that we get it done so we can sustain our lifestyle together. Then we do what we got to do as individuals to maintain our success individually and stuff like that. So we support those dreams and all of those that we come up with, that we have, because everybody has a right to live out their dreams at whatever age they want to live it out.
Right.
And everybody has the right to be who they are. And if somebody's impeding on who you are, then they need to go. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm an abusive person, I don't need to be in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And abuse is not just hitting somebody; it's mental.
Yeah.
Right? It's really mental before it's physical. And people love to abuse people because they want to feel important when you already are. That's why I said 9 reasons. You are a child of the sun. You already are. You know what I'm saying? Like that means that like you can't stop trying to be a star in the white man's eyes. You are a star, because what does the word Saba mean in the first place? Especially us.
Right. Star.
You're a star. You're a star.
Yes.
Yes. So therefore, you were born a star child. Okay? Earth, Wind, and Fire sang about this. You're a shining star, no matter who you are, shining bright to see, brother. You and me. Come on, like it just. There's so much in older music. That now we got to take all of that older stuff and translate it into 2021, 2022, and be like, listen, we are all shining stars. Let's shine, no matter the age. You got dreams at 50, have a dream at 50 and accomplish that dream. You ain't too old to rap. You ain't too old to sing. You ain't too old to want to be in your light. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, so that's all American thing. You know what I mean? So it's taking hip hop. Hip hop is an American culture. It's African American culture, right? Nuwop is taking African American culture and converting it back to Nubian culture, like to the point where it's like everything I rap is gonna come out with some information where you're gonna have to read. You gotta know how to read to listen to my music. You know what I mean? You gotta know how to read. You gotta know how to respect women. You gotta know how to hold doors. You gotta know how to fight too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I tell people, you can't be stupid and listen to me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you got. And I to be honest with you, there's never been a point where you could be dumb and listen to me, because I don't like dumb. I don't like stupid. You know what I'm saying? It's a choice. You're making choices to be that way. You know what I mean?
Right. So conscious love music, hip hop to Nuwop, is that something that we can dance to, or is that something that all we can do is listen to and bob that head to? You
can dance to it.
Okay.
You dance to it. I mean, conscious, it's all a content. That's all it is. So music, if you dance to it, I have a song where I say, called Groove, where I say, I say, time to wake up, time to stand up, time to elevate the minds of the young. This is soul music. I've been delivering what you love. I've been rapping for the love. I got soul to raise souls, control my own, making my dough like a bakery stove. I'ma let it be known while I be in my zone. Hip hop's in the house, AMB is home. So I gotta give him what I gave him before. Yeah, divine change when I come in the door. Get on the dance floor, cut a rug, get up off the wall, cuz don't be a lame like a wannabe thug. I keep it moving, grooving, grown-ups tuning. Young cats act stupid. Young cats act stupid, foolish. Don't be stupid. Stop being so stupid. This is a movement. You like it cuz you choose it. I pretty much said you're grooving to knowledge. Right. And at the end of the song, I say, I'm teach while I'm making you dance, and I repeat it.
Right.
You know what I'm
saying? But your music doesn't sound like it's something, because the latest thing is, I don't know what this thing is, that booty thing where they, so when I say, can you dance to it, would you say that conscious music, that hip hop, Nuwop music, even brings in an awareness of what you're doing with your body rhythmically?
Yeah. Because you got to know which music is going to elevate your mind and what music is going to make you twerk. I don't do stripper music. You know what I'm saying? I don't even style over stripper music. You know what I'm saying? I can, but I'm not going to do it, because what happens is it just sends the energy of the music. Sometimes it's too low level on the chakra level. For you to rap anything conscious to it. Like I like that song that I told you that I was rapping. Genius made a disco beat. It was literally a disco like track, and you got two step to that. You can't, you got to pull out the old school. If you don't know if you don't know that the old school moves and two step, then you shouldn't be listening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
and I love Genius. I love to hear that little part right at the beginning of some of your intros. This
mhm.
is a Genius production.
Oh yeah. He's the man. He's the producer. Like he's the guy that made it possible for me to extend my career. You know what I'm saying? Back in 2008. I've been working with him since 2008.
Yeah.
And I went to high school with him like in the late 90s. He was a freshman, I was a senior. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that, like, I work with family. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like, it's family. Like everything is a family vibe. Like I came from a team called TA, which is we called Together Again, but we originally was called Temple Assassins. You know what I mean? Because we battle rappers back then. You know what I'm saying? We were street. I reconnected with them, and that's the song you hear on I Am Hip Hop, which is it all started from a dream. I did it with my team, and we're doing some work now, as a team. And like I work with people that I know. I work with people that I'm familiar with. That's where you get the word family from, familiar. So like you get the best love in music from family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm like, when you're dealing with like the conscious love, you know what I mean? It's also conscious, it's aware of what you're doing with your body, how men wear their pants, pull your pants up. It's how women put some more clothes on, the environment. I don't mind women wearing what they wear, but just know the environment that you're in. And I think a lot of women don't know the environment they're in. You know what I mean? They want to show out, but they don't want to deal with the show out, with the results of the show out. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, like, when you're consciously aware of your surroundings, I don't want no vulgar, because men are already vulgar even if you're covered up. You can be wearing a hoodie with 2 pairs of pants on, boots, Timbs, a do-rag, you know what I'm saying? A fit, still gonna at you, right? Because that's the energy of Nubian women. Y'all, we can see that. We know she fine. You know what I'm saying? We'd be like, listen, we know she fine. She covering all that shit up. You know what I mean? We know. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, if you look at like men, that's just how we're hunters. We're like, where's the girls at? I remember when I was single and I was younger.
Yeah.
Thing I'm doing after I leave my mother's house, where the girls at, yo? Where they at? You know what I'm saying? And we come up with the stupidest things to say to women, man. We come up with certain things. We come up with lines to try to attract women, whether they want to laugh or something. So our whole thing is, until we get that woman, you know what I'm saying? We hunters, man. We out there looking for women, man. We looking, she go to work. She got a job. She can read. You know what I'm saying? Da, 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 da. Like, if you were like man like me, I was looking for girls that knew how to think and read stuff. And then you got other dudes, man, that like the dumb type of girls. You know what I mean? They like the dumb ones. They like the dumb, like, you know what I mean? And like special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they like them. I have friends, they like them. You know what I mean? And it's funny what they say to them and how they get away with it. You know what I mean? Y'all let us get away with a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Y'all let us get away with some. Y'all let us get away with. I'll be sitting there like, because I come from a mother where I didn't get away with anything. Like, women did not let me get away with nothing. From my mother to my sister to my aunt, because I'm the youngest grandchild. Right. You know what I'm saying? So for me, in my generation, I'm the youngest. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I couldn't get away with nothing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you're right. So when I see dudes talk to women a certain way, I be sitting there like, yo, she about to slap him. And they don't get slapped. And I'm like, my mother would have slapped like I would have got slapped. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was like,
but the mindset of the men these days is very different. So women, those of us that would love to slap a man, today we got to hold back, because now they're slapping back.
Yeah.
The men are slapping back and hitting back, and it used to be, I guess, men could take a good slap and turn around, and the woman didn't, it wasn't no drastic repercussions. Like, she might have got grabbed and sat down somewhere, like, and then make her sit down somewhere. But yes, it's a whole different vibe. What are some of the things that you think, when a couple is engaging in conscious love, what are some of their challenges, with them both being conscious or woke? What do you think some of the challenges? And then we're gonna get ready to get out of here and let you go.
In some relationships, the challenge is maintaining your individuality.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I say that because a lot of people, even though they're in conscious relationships, they have a view of what a relationship should be. And then it clashes with the next person's view of what a relationship should be.
Mhm.
Because a lot of relationships in America, they don't talk at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'd never seen people, married couples, locks and all, got the Sankofa books and everything, from niggas to gods to everything. They do this together. They go to bookstores. They celebrate Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying? They African liberation. They go to all the festivals. They wear dashikis. You know what I'm saying? And everything. And they do all of this. And they eat a certain way. I've never seen a group of people that do all so many things together and not communicate at all. I don't understand how you don't want to talk to the person that you're with for the rest of your life. I don't get that. That to me is weird. I never wanted to be with anybody that I can't talk to. It's weird. It's just like how do you sit there? Like, what do you just do? You come in the house, I'm home, and you go in the next room. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's like if you're doing something, that's one thing. But if it's like she ain't doing nothing, you ain't doing nothing, you know, you don't say nothing. Like, you watch TV, you don't talk, you don't know what's on each other's mind. That's why you don't know what they're thinking. Half of the problems in relationships, whether conscious or not, right,
Mhm.
would be fixed by talking.
Yeah.
Know what's on that person's mind.
Mhm.
Because if you don't know what's on that person's mind and they feel like you don't care about what's on their mind, right,
Mhm.
they're going to do certain things that's going to either affect the relationship
Mhm.
in a negative or positive. You got to know what's on their mind. And most people, I think the biggest challenge is communication. They don't communicate,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like you don't always have to go outside the relationship to deal with it. You could deal with it right in there, and all you got to do is communicate to each other.
Right.
I don't like to do this.
Mhm.
I don't like when you do that. It doesn't matter if their feelings are hurt. If you ain't you, they should know at this point. If you've been together 10 years, they should know that you're not trying to hurt their feelings.
Right.
Especially if you know, they should know, and they should know when you're trying to hurt their feelings. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And that should be corrected because we're human at the end of the day. We get mad and we say things that don't that we really traditionally wouldn't do. Doing to a person that we love. It's just we our emotions got the best of us, and those things have to be addressed as well. But it has to be a communication. Gotta communicate what
Yeah.
is going on with the person. Like, people, like, I'm a person you need to communicate with, because if you can't communicate with me, then I get turned off. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I get turned off, and then and sometimes I would act out on it. You know what I'm saying? Because it expression. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You got to be able to express it. I'm gonna let you express yourself as well, but you have to be able to communicate. And I think a lot of people don't. And I talk to a lot of people online that don't communicate with their mate. And I say that is the first problem right there. You are not communicating to your mate, which is why he or she is doing the things that they're doing.
Right.
You don't know them, and you've been together all this time, got kids and everything.
So a conscious love, it brings in a lot of awareness. It makes you aware of all things,
Yeah.
everything.
Yep.
If you're talking about, like you said at the beginning of what hip hop uh is supposed to be about,
Hmm.
love, unity,
Peace, love,
um,
and having
peace,
fun.
love, unity, and having fun.
Hmm.
All of that. As we get ready to bring this to a close, what would be some advice that you would give to conscious couples in love?
The advice that I give the conscious couples in love is know yourself before you pursue love. Because here's the secret to this: if you love yourself, then there's no searching for love,
Mm-hmm.
the person that you want to be with.
Mm-hmm.
Which means if you know who you are and you love who you are as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and you find a person that respects and connects, respects that for who you are. If a person says, "What do you like about me?" and she says, or he or she says, "I don't know, I just love everything about you." It does not one thing. It's not about blame. If you, and I ask people this, what do you love about your mate? If it's about your job and what you do and all that, that's not real love. Do you love yourself enough? Do you love existence of the person? Because really, the love for a person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life should not be explained with trivial crap. Because if you lose a job, you love that person, you lose a job, or do you have enough love to see him fall and help him get back up and hold down the fort? That's real love, because it doesn't matter if he has a job or not. Now, of course, you want somebody who's doing something with their life, of course.
Right.
But do you love somebody enough where you can't even put it into words? You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I just love everything about you. And it shows. You know what I'm saying? It shows in how you protect them. It shows in how you treat them. It shows in how you let them have their space as well. You know what I mean? It shows in how you let them be. That's love, right? And that's having love for yourself first. It starts with you. So I say, know yourself before you start getting with somebody and trying to set freaking demanding rules when you don't have that in order with yourself. Right? Know yourself before you get to know someone else.
And I love that you said that order within the self before you try to deal with spinning orbs, because we're talking about esoteric, cosmic, before you start trying to order the alignment of different universes and multiverses and so on and so forth. That order within the self.
Yep, you got to do that within yourself.
And that is AMB, African Man Born. I want you to take us on out with a little something. And no. First, I want you to say, here we go, B. Be different and love it.
Be different and love it.
See, who would have ever thought you'd hear African Man Born talking about be different and love it. And y'all know he on the show where it takes more than a notion. You got to put some motion in that. That's that Pinwheel love. That's that Pinwheel love, baby. Take us on out, be with a little sunshine.
I say, I'll give you this verse. I said, they say this is a freestyle written within a verse. My mind thinks the freestyle shit was never rehearsed. My words unlock a curse with a verse that hurts. You devils are worse. Young boys, remember who's first. The pioneers of this culture here, sensitive. Hold your ears underground to the point where people never cared. It doesn't matter. Verses update your brain matter. You seem scattered listening to weak ass rappers. 2020 is mine. I killed the beast master. No more Zuen. I balance my zen like Tai Chi, like the light skinned dude from the nobodies. The professor, I'm professional, super intellectual, staying on my grind like I'm blending up these vegetables. A grown man, every day I live is a chance. The cops is out, my skin color's targeted, fan. I might make it home, but I'm not afraid. You never know though. Dealing with Popo, I'm on a level that you don't know. My flow's dope. I'm hotter than the solar ray explosions. I'm landmarked in my city, Nubian notion in Nubian square. They hate Nubians here. My walk with no fear. My flow is so prepared to win any battle in war. You pulling raffles, I don't battle MCs. I battle the police. I battle versus the government. Most people there will never be peace until the devil is deceased. Listen to me. You battling these industry beefs. I rip them all. You a troll. You ain't touching my speech. I'm from the streets. This is hip hop, boy. You better keep your mouth closed. Thug niggas walk with the chrome. If they see you on the streets, you'll be dead for what you told. You a clone. Tekashi 6ix9ine copy you slow. All you millennial rappers doing the most. You think you killing it at 20? I killed it in my 20s. I killed it in my 30s, but you cowards never heard me. That's old news, fool. You ain't thinking you're a dummy. I reached another plateau. I'm God in my 40s. 1979, my mama birthed a divine. I was born in the culture. You young people are blind. I was rhyming watching you blow up. And now you live on Facebook and Instagram, fronting like you be the man. No bars, you sound off. My sound explains God principle. You don't know, then how are you invincible? This is a lesson learned for you corny individuals. My 20-year-old shit is hotter than your new material. Diseased ass rappers, you looking like a scenario. Disease, let you MCs freeze. I'm on my G-O-D with these verses I speak. I'm on the peak, no Dante, the pyramid, firing the lyricist. 40 years old, you can listen to experience. My idols pushing 50 and them MCs still killing shit. Boston's Nas, I'm heavy with the bars. I'm an alien with hip hop, been traveling the stars. State of my spirit is looking a little curious, making up my own words. Yes, I'm so serious. International, not galactical, past American, changing like the diet to live it like vegetarians, green edibles, from blood, flesh to vegetables. So
that's where I hit that fuel injection button. It takes my ride from the street and start heading on up toward the skies, baby. We out. The Debra Show. Thank you, AMB. Peace.
Peace.